Night number 2 and night number 1. Game number 2 of the ISC Canada East qualifying tournament continues on this Friday here at Ketterson Park in Mitchell, Ontario, in a great matchup as the Hill United Chiefs, the reigning and 6-time ISC World Champions, open their tournament play tonight against a new team, JDT First Energy, but it is a team loaded with a lot of elite talent and many national team members. We'll set you quickly for Hill United, who were the co-champions last weekend of the Jack Grafmeyer Memorial Tournament. Great to see Shane Boland back, the Canadian national team veteran, to lead things off. Ezekiel Nick Shales will get to his weekend in Kimberly, Wisconsin, which was one of the best I've ever seen. Matroni Gonzalez, Quentin Bruce, Lenny Viavazzo, Alan Pecker hits in the 8th spot, and Luciano Biondi, the youngster from Argentina and a national team member of that country, will bat number 9. And they will face Canadian national team member Devin McCullough, a world champion back in 2015. Played last year with Circle Tap, was 1-2 at the ISC World Tournament, struck out 39 and walked in. My name is Peter Lubardius, delighted to be on hand for another Hill United Chiefs game as Shane Boland with a swing and a miss on the McCullough drop ball for strike 1 to open up the game. Shane hit .219 last season overall for the Chiefs, 2 doubles, 8 home runs, and 32 runs batted in, and looks at a high rise well out of the zone from McCullough. Shane was named to the all-world team in Surrey, British Columbia. Tournament won by the Chiefs. And a veteran of many world championships, now World Cups, for his country of Canada. Behind home plate, it is Dave Harrington. On the bases, it's Trevor Topping. And as we witnessed in the first game, this field of 6 teams this weekend is about as good as the sport can offer in a 6-team field. There are no easy games here in Mitchell in this group of 6 this weekend. As Boland takes down and in. Shane hit .333 at the ISC last August with a couple of home runs and 6 runs batted in. And looks at a strike on the inside corner to begin the game. As the rise curve found its mark from McCullough, who records the game's first out. And here is Bradley Ezekiel. Ezekiel was 6 for 11 last weekend in Kimberly, Wisconsin, with a home run and 7 runs batted in. And about to participate once again in another world championship for his country. The pride of Holyrood, Newfoundland. And the rise up and away misses from McCullough. Arguably, Devin's greatest moment in the sport came in the gold medal game of the 2015 Men's World Championship in Saskatoon when he came on in relief and shut the door on New Zealand. Ezekiel finds some green as he fights off that low pitch. And just another hit for one of the world's best. As he's up to 7 hits early in the year and just literally fought that low pitch off. And here is Nick Shales. In Kimberly, Wisconsin last weekend, as Shales looks at a rise out of the zone for a ball. Listen to these staggering numbers. Nick was 11 for 13, doubled, hit 4 home runs and 12 runs batted in the 4 of the 5 games that he participated in, all victories by the Chiefs. That isn't a weekend, that's a season. And we'll see if the Australian, now calling Waterford, Ontario home, can stay hot here in Mitchell. May never have another weekend like last weekend. The battery mate for Devin McCullough is Dallas Cornelius, whose father, Scott, is the owner of this team, and now two others, the Bear Creek Express and the now newly named Bear Creek Gremlins, who will play in the next game against the Toronto Batmen to close out night number one. And Shales had a quality rip at the McCullough pitch. As McCullough looks in. The rise swung on and missed as Shales taps his back thigh. And a full count. The Chiefs last weekend outscored their opponents to the tune of 51-5. Co-champions because, unfortunately, the title game against the Kegel Black Knights was rained out. It came down quickly, and there was a lot of it. So organizers did not delay things, sent the teams on their respective way. But for the Chiefs, they accomplished a lot of what head coach and the coaching staff wanted on the weekend. They wanted a lot of at-bats in their first event of the year, work for their pitching staff. And outside of Marco Diaz, who will get the call in game one of this event tonight, pretty much exactly the plan went as they would have liked. And Shales, again, stays alive, fouling that pitch away. Be a lot of great matchups all weekend long between pitchers and batters. And the pitch is high. Good work over at second to keep that ball from going in the outfield and maybe allowing Ezekiel to move up another bag. This ball 4, the call, and the reason that Shales finds himself where he's been almost every single time in the opening weekends at first. And that brings up the designated player, Bruno Matroni. Matroni fouls that back to the screen. Bruno from Paraná in Argentina, long time and now former captain of their national team, a world champion back in 2019. 3 for 10 last weekend at the Jack Graf Meyer Memorial with 3 runs batted in. His best game came in Hill United's last game, which was an 11-4 triumph over the Pueblo Bandits. It was a game where Pueblo hit 3 solo home runs to take an early lead in the top of the first, only to have the Chiefs with their great lineup come back and win the game. But scoring runs this weekend will be a lot more challenging for all the teams, including the reigning champs. So 1 out and 2 on for Matroni. Just missed hitting Bruno. Oh, it's a little snicker and was able to get out of the way of the McCullough pitch. Bruno hit .383 in 2024 with 9 doubles, a triple, 6 home runs, and 27 runs batted in. Looking to cash in the game's first run and had a mighty cut at that pitch. And knew it. Again, the slap on the thigh means that was a pitch he thought he could really handle and drive, and just missed it. So Shales at first, Ezekiel the base runner after his base hit at second. His time is called. Overcast sky. So far, we've been fortunate that the rain has stayed away. The temperature has dipped a little bit. And Matrone with a rocket past head coach Jeff Ellsworth over in the third base coaching box. So some quality at-bats early in the game for the Chiefs against an excellent pitcher in Devin McCullough, the pride of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. They call him Devo. And Matrone goes around, and he didn't like it. Thought he had maybe checked his swing. And McCullough with his second strikeout of the top of the first inning. Tijuana, Mexico's Tony Gonzalez. Always a smile on his face. 2 for 8 last weekend with a homer and 3 runs batted in. A bounder towards Jeff Lyons over at first, and that'll do it. The Chiefs threaten. They leave 2, but unable to score the game's first run. We'll set the Chiefs defense for you when we return on night number 1 of the ISC Canada East qualifier here in Mitchell.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca.
A look at some fans down the left field line as we'll set the Chiefs defensively for you after they stranded a couple of runners in the top of the first. In the outfield, Bruce, Ezekiel, and Alan Pecker around the diamond. In Shales, the return of Shane Boland at short. Lenny Viavazzo, who played the majority of time at shortstop with Boland away last weekend, and Tony Gonzalez is at first. Behind home plate, the young catcher from Argentina, Luciano Biondi, and catching one of the best on the planet, 23-year-old Ensenada, Baja California is where he calls home, Marco Diaz, to face JDT Energy. Diaz pitched 7 innings last weekend in Kimberly, Wisconsin, did not give up a run or a hit. Struck out 17 and walked 2. And has a difficult lineup to deal with, including center fielder Scott Patterson, who will represent his home country of Australia in now less than a month when the World Cup begins in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Diaz misses in for a ball. Patterson spent last season with the Circle Tap Dukes, where he hit .325, 4 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, and 31 runs batted in. And Diaz paints the outside corner to even the count. Patterson helped Australia win the world title in 2022. Diaz known for many things, including having as good a velocity as anyone right now in the sport. And Patterson had a pretty good whack at that to send it out of play. Keep an eye on the speed gun. It's a couple of times last weekend in Kimberly that he touched 87. And from 46 feet, and even from this incredible vantage point that I have tonight, which I could almost reach out and touch the batter's box, you just flat out wonder sometimes how anybody at this level ever gets a hit. Patterson leading things off for a new team. JDT First Energy. Did he go? So Patterson draws the walk to lead things off in the bottom of the first. And they did eventually check with Trevor Topping, who said no. And the batter is USA national team member Braden Ducharme. He played last season with LC Ostrander as he joins JDT. This youngster has great tools in terms of his ability to field his position at shortstop, runs so well, and spray the ball to all fields, and just coming into his own. He was still at the U18 age group when he represented his country in 2023 as Biondi comes up looking to throw. Diaz looks in. And Ducharme goes down swinging as Marco Diaz has his first strikeout of the night and the weekend. And now he'll face Canadian national team member Colin Walsh from Petty Harbour, Newfoundland. Colin, a member of the Bear Creek Express last year, which is, they're all in the same family, but there's been a lot of movement. Hit .222 at last year's ISC World Tournament. 190 during the entire season for Bear Creek. And has great versatility in the designated player spot in the lineup tonight, but play the outfield, can pitch, can use Colin in a lot of different spots. Punch to right, Pecker in good position. He'll track it down with his excellent speed, and there are two away. Alan Pecker is one of those five-tool type players. There isn't really anything that he can't do, and there's a lot of guys in this particular game that you could say that about, and this entire weekend. Jeff Lyons, his first at-bat. He's from Glencoe, Ontario. Like Walsh, played for the Express last year, now a member of this newly formed team. JDT First Energy. Jeff hit .206 last season with 3 doubles, 3 home runs, and 12 runs batted in. And shows a good eye laying off that rise ball. So Patterson on a walk at first base, has good speed. And after the opening walk, Diaz seems to have found his groove a little bit. Remember, for a lot of these players, it's very early in the season. Now, Marco actually played in a tournament outside of the Jack Grafmeyer earlier this year, but that was way back in April in Las Vegas. And he will be a huge factor for the United States at that upcoming World Cup. Gives the U.S. their best chance to potentially win a world title in a long time. And the United States will have this young man for a long time, as long as he stays healthy. And the Chiefs delighted to have him, as they're looking to add to their ISC World Tournament title history, which after last year's win in Surrey stands at 6. Diaz finds the corner. Lions thought it was low. The home plate umpire had other ideas. So a couple of strikeouts and a walk, and through one inning, Hill United in JDT looking for the game's first run.
How confident are you in your organization's security posture? If your answer isn't 100%, you're not alone. Most organizations aren't doing enough to protect their data, and they know it. With Armitage Technology, you
Grand Valley, Ontario's Quentin Bruce, another member of Canada's national team, getting set for the World Cup. Leads things off for Hill United. It's his second year with the team, as he fouls the McCullough pitch off. Quentin was 2 for 8 last weekend in Kimberley, Wisconsin. And when this guy gets hot, he can get red hot. Stays with a changeup. A terrific play by Brock Atwell. Combination of good hitting and excellent fielding to rob Bruce of a base hit. As Bruce did such a nice job to keep his hands back on that changeup, got through it, but Atwell takes a hit away from him. And Hill's second baseman, Lenny Viavazzo, the batter. Lenny was 3 for 11 last weekend with a home run and 5 runs batted in. And this guy can pack a wallop. Hits it well to all fields. Absolutely clobbered a 3-run home run last weekend. As the drop ball misses down and in to Viavazzo from McCullough, who has a couple of early strikeouts. A good one brewing on night number 1 here in Mitchell. If you like the sport of men's fast pitch softball and you're in the neighborhood, it's a pretty good place to be. And there are 2 other divisions going on here this weekend as well. Viavazzo underneath it, and Cornelius will run out of room, and fortunately our tent is in the way. Because the last guy in the whole park that we would want to lose is Luciano Lafrano. I call him the 7-bandit man. He does the job of 7 people to bring all of this to you, technically, with his great wife, Carl. I don't know how they do it. And I've been in the business for a long time. Took a little something off the drop. And excellent movement on the pitch to McCullough to strike out Lenny Villavazzo without number 2. And here's a gentleman who had a weekend for the ages at last year's ISC World Tournament. A Saturday for the ages. On Championship Saturday, Alan Pecker went 4 for 8, or 6 for 9, with 4 home runs and 8 runs batted in 3 straight Hill United Chief victories to capture the crown, including 2 home runs in the title game. One of the great weekends all time in ISC World Tournament history, and can't even really call it a weekend. Maybe as great a day as anyone has ever had on Championship Saturday. Allen batting in the number 8 spot in this lineup and goes down swinging on the rise. So Devin McCullough with his good stuff has 4 strikeouts. Marco Diaz in Hill United will take the field when we return to Mitchell.
Dreamcatcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be there for them.
Brock Atwell from New Zealand to lead things off. Brock returning to play in the ISC, did not participate 1 year ago. Spent the previous 2 seasons with the then Niagara Stompers. Atwell represented New Zealand in the 2023 U23 World Cup, where he batted .333. And finds himself in the number 5 spot in this JDT First Energy lineup. And has already made an outstanding play at second base to take a hit away in the last half inning from Quentin Bruce. Diaz in a tough spot for anybody. In on the hands, just underneath and on the inside portion of the plate. Diaz says, that's on me. Luciano Biondi, the catcher, is just 22, and the pitcher is just 23. Usually in this sport, I think it would be fair to suggest that the prime for many, and that's changing, is in the 30-year-old category. So when you think about Diaz being only 23 and Biondi wearing number 15 in these Hill United Chief jerseys, they have 3 different sets. 15 in this color, but he'll also don the number 34. Diaz thought he might have had one there on Brock Atwell. No score, bottom of the second. Game number 2 earlier in this division. It was the Bear Creek Express downing the Northeast Drillers by a count of 4-1, and Atwell's ball is down the line, fair. He'll make the turn, but hold right there as Bruce has a strong throwing arm in left field. And that is the first hit of the 2025 season given up by Marco Diaz. It's only his third appearance, but he did not yield a hit in 7 innings of work combined last weekend in Wisconsin. And now facing Jonathan Lynch. And that got a bite out of Lynch. Ooh. That hurt the Team USA national squad member in a big way. Got that on the fingers. And when it's coming at you at about 83 plus, that stings. And you just hope the fine outfielder from Missouri is going to be all right. And not that any time would be a good time for someone to find themselves injured, but when you're 3 weeks away from representing your country at a world championship, that's not good timing. So hopefully it's better than one might think as they continue to attend to Jonathan Lynch down the line. Lynch, a 2-time All-World member at the ISC World Tournament and a former member of the Hill United Chiefs. He played for them in 2023. Last year, he was a member of the AWP Lumberjacks, but has made the transition to find his way onto this JDT First Energy squad. We'll see if Lynch can hang around and stay in the game. It seems by looking down past first base that he's going to give it everything he can to do just that. Is he staying or is he leaving? Head coach Jamie Simpson and longtime veteran coach Larry Lynch attending to things as well as athletic therapist, obviously in the midst, and good to see that Jonathan Lynch looks like he's going to stay. So Atwell on with a base hit down the line. And it's not even a hit by pitch, it's a strike. So the old hand part of the bat situation. That's a tough strike. But Lynch, who asked for time, is okay enough to bat. So got to change the scorebook when these things happen. Lynch looks to square again and almost plunked him for a second time. This will be an at-bat that Jonathan Lynch would just as soon forget. So he converses with a home plate umpire and will ball and a strike after all of that. Don't see that every day. So on the pitch, Atwell able to move up as Lynch tries to punch a bunt past the charging Nick Shales. But it goes foul. Lights on here at Ketterson Park. Great facility. And we hope to have some excellent crowds before the weekend is all said and done. Lynch squares again, pulls back. And that one makes its way into foul ground. Hill United stranded a couple in the top of the first. They have one hit in the game, and now so does JDT First Energy. And might have a second. and do. Here comes Atwell to the plate, the throw a little up the line, and Jonathan Lynch with an RBI single gives JDT First Energy a 1-0 advantage. So an at-bat that started hellaciously ends up in an RBI single. And JDT strikes first. And now third baseman, Warman, Saskatchewan's Justin Leskowski. He was a member of Circle Tap the last couple of years as he makes the changeover. Hit .278 for them last season. And attended the Canadian national team tryout camp about a month or so ago in Florida. Fortunately for Justin, unable to crack that 16-man roster. And when you're part of the program, it's a difficult team to make, especially in certain countries. Still no one out in the bottom of the second inning. Leskowski didn't like it very much, but called a strike. Ball and 2 strikes. Diaz would love the first out, and Leskowski had a pretty good whack at that pitch. Justin played for Canada last summer's World Cup qualifying event in Prince Albert. Went 5 for 11 in that event. Ball gets away from Biondi, and Lynch, who has good speed, wastes little time moving up, and gets a bit of a handshake from Shane Boland as they converse. Two and 2 the count. Driven into the gap, and that's going to cash in another. Leskowski will hold. Has an RBI double. And JDT First Energy jumps into a 2-0 advantage. Finds a gap. And now the catcher, Dallas Cornelius. As Justin Schofield starts to work down the first base side for the Chiefs. Back with the Chiefs for the first time in 5 years is Justin Schofield. Quality drop ball, swung on and missed. Cornelius fights off the rise that time to stay alive. Dallas was 0 for 3 as a member of the Bear Creek Express at last year's ISC World Tournament in Surrey, British Columbia. Leskowski, the runner at second. And And a called third strike for the first out of this bottom of the second inning. Third strikeout of the evening for Diaz. And now deals with left fielder Jordan Pomeroy, another Newfoundlander, and another Canadian national team member. Punches that. Fouled on the third base side. Pomeroy a couple of years ago made a catch that, if you follow social media at all, and I think most people do to some degree, had a diving catch over a fence that is one of the finest plays you'll ever see. And I think about 3 million people have watched it at last check. Pomeroy's 25 years of age. He was a Bear Creek Express member. Hit .357 at the ISC. And trying to add to the JDT 2-0 lead. With this 6-team field this weekend, your best is required to be successful. Biondi has a little trouble with that inside offering. And Laskowski able to move up 60 feet. And all of a sudden, while it's early, this feels like a big out. And Pomeroy upset at himself. He liked that pitch and had a pretty good swing at it. Three hits and 2 runs in the inning for JDT off Marco Diaz. Count is full. Infield in, as you would expect for the Chiefs, trying to cut off a run, and that'll help. So a good drop ball, swung on and missed for out number 2. Back to the top of the lineup, an Australian, Scott Patterson. He's from Western Australia. At some point this season, I'll attempt his hometown. But I know that I would pronounce it in a way with no chance. It looks like Gidgeganup, but that's my best guess. I'm sure somebody will tweet in quickly to correct it. And I'm always thankful when people do. Patterson walked his first time up in the first. The Chiefs trying to limit any more damage in the bottom of the second as Patterson fouls that away. Was 5 for 17 last March in Mexico at the World Cup qualifier. And it was not easy for the reigning world champions. Punches it past Gonzalez. And Scott Patterson has driven in the third JT run. Fights it off and just past the sprawling Gonzalez, who couldn't knock it down over at first. So a huge inning for JDT. And this is quite a way to begin for this newly formed group. You won't see many of these types of innings for Marco Diaz throughout the course of a season. But again, it's early. He did not face anywhere near a lineup like this last weekend. Take nothing away from anyone that competed at the Jack Grafmeyer Memorial in Wisconsin. Braden Ducharme had a quality cut at that pitch. He struck out back in the first. The youngster from Hudson, Wisconsin. And Diaz out of it with a strike on the outside corner. Not before JDT First Energy puts up a 3 spot and lead it 3-0 after 2 here in Mitchell, Ontario.
Dream catcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community, this province, and on this continent better. I know we have a long way to go, but I'm proud to say as long as our people have a need, Dreamcatcher will be.
The Hill United Chiefs find themselves trailing by a count of 3-0 after 4 hits led to those 3 runs in the bottom of the second. And Devin McCullough and JDT back to work as Luciano Biondi in the number 9 spot in the lineup. The 22-year-old from Argentina leads things off. Luciano was 2 for 8 last weekend in Kimberly, Wisconsin, with a double, a home run, and a run batted in. He possesses great speed. And again, threatens to bunt in this occasion, but takes down for a ball. Devin McCullough has retired the last 5 Chiefs that he has faced. Beyond, he didn't like it. Caught looking that time. And a 3rd consecutive strikeout, 5th in the game for McCullough. And now to the top of the lineup and the shortstop, Shane Boland. Have not seen a lot of that changeup early in the game. That was a good one. The low rise finds the inside corner to even the count at 1-1. Shane punches that on one big hop, but foul. Shane did not participate last weekend in Kimberley. And he is just one of the finest people in a sport full of them that you'll ever meet in the game. Just a gem. A real glue type person for any team or any company. And shows a good eye on that McCullough pitch. A full count for Bolin, trying to get something going for the Chiefs in their top of the third as they trail by 3. Lions for out number 1. Or make that out number 2. McCullough has now thrown 36 pitches in the game, 24 of them for strikes as he deals with Bradley Ezekiel, who delivered a hit off of him in the top of the first. As the Chiefs threatened, stranded 2 to start the game. Ezekiel with the Chiefs' only hit to this point. That can change in a hurry. As Ezekiel just gets out of the road of that pitch from his soon-to-be once again Canadian national team teammate. 8-time All-World member. Ezekiel with a great eye. 9 for 25 at last year's ISC World Tournament. Had a hit in all but one game. And hit a massive 3-run homer in the championship final over the then New York, now Bear Creek Gremlins, who will play the Toronto Batmen tonight in the final of 3 games. Ezekiel now 7 out of 12 early in the year. Hit .346 in 2024. One of the best to ever do it. And McCullough perfectly placed to strike out Bradley Ezekiel. $3-0 JDT leading the Hill United Chiefs. Look at some of the spectators. They're watching the action on another diamond here at Ketterson Park, where JDT First Energy enjoy a 3-0 lead over the Hill United Chiefs. JDT with 4 hits and 3 runs in the bottom of the second. As Biondi in conversation with a home plate umpire. Colin Walsh, the batter, he flew out to Alan Pecker in right field. His first time up. Two more games tomorrow for fans of the Hill United Chiefs here on Softball Premier TV. They will take on the Northeast Drillers in the first game of the day at 8:30 a.m. And then in a rematch of last year's ISC World Tournament title game, we'll face the now Bear Creek Gremlins at 5. Always something special when those two groups get together. It's a big rivalry. Marco Diaz looking to settle himself in. A chopper. Nonchalant, but effective for the first out. And really, that's a great part of Marco Diaz's makeup. Never looks like he's overly flustered, having watched him a lot in the last year and a bit. So one away for Jeff Lyons, who struck out to end the first. Jeff was 0 for 3 at last year's ISC World Tournament. Played for Canada at a World Cup qualifying event in Prince Albert, where he went 5 for 14. One year I saw the hometown listed as Appin, now it's Glencoe. As Diaz looking for another signal. I don't think it's unfair to suggest that he and Biondi behind home plate haven't quite been on the same page at times early in the game, but it's early in the season. Two balls and 2 strikes as Diaz asked for and receives the count. And here's the 2-2. Change up. And like McCullough, there have not been a lot of those delivered. It's probably more in one pitcher's arsenal than the other, certainly over the years. That's a 6th strikeout for Marco Diaz. Facing Brock Atwell, who was the ringleader of the 3-run second inning. As he pulled one literally right down the third base line. Quentin Bruce got to it in a hurry, or it would have been a double. Ball and a strike to Brock Atwell. A great field of 6 teams here in this division, and there are a couple of others. In Mitchell. Really good changeup. They're going to ask. And they say he went around. So Diaz with a 1-2-3, bottom of the third. The Chiefs looking to cash in, trailing by 3 on night number 1 of the Canada East ISC qualifying tournament.
Let's talk about a local one-stop shop. Live Well for Life is just that, a fitness, nutrition, and therapy facility all under one roof. Located at 3878 Wellington Street in Mitchell, Ontario, you can get so much done in just one visit. A full complement of staff on hand include chiropractic, massage, and personal training to get you back to your healthy self. Find them on the web at livewellforlifeinc.com or give
Live Well for Life, a proud sponsor of the broadcast.
Nick Shales, Bruno Matroni, and Tony Gonzalez due up for the Chiefs in the top of the 4th as they look to cut into this 3-0 JDT First Energy advantage. Shales walked his first time up. And McCullough definitely wanted that pitch. Devin is having himself a fine beginning to this game. Good spin. Always late movement, so important in this sport. What it does, as close as it can get to home plate. And almost took a bite out of Shales. A 2-time World Cup champion. Somewhat burst onto the scene back at the World Championship in Saskatoon in 2009. That's certainly when I became familiar with this gentleman. He's on his way to every softball Hall of Fame there is when it's time for him to shut it down. A 10-time all-world performer at the ISC World Tournament. Hoping to get things started for the Chiefs here in the 4th. Devin McCullough with 6 strikeouts in the game and has given up just the 1 hit.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
In the last 10 ISC World Tournaments, Devin McCullough has struck out 400 plus, and Nick Shales has done it again. A solo homer, his 5th home run of the last 2 weekends. He had 7 home runs all of last season. That's his 5th of 2025. As he leans out to get it, and it carried and made its way over the right field fence. And the Chiefs on the board, courtesy of Nick Shales. He is now 12 for 14. Those numbers are ludicrous with a capital L. 5 home runs and now 13 runs batted in to start the season for Hill United. Just at a point where some were questioning whether he was getting close to time at 40 years of age. Not the way it's starting. And now Bruno Matroni, another player in exactly that same age bracket. Matrone struck out back in the first. Launches this, but foul. And there's about to be some activity for JDT First Energy. One thing about the Hill United Chiefs, they are never out of the game with their hitting lineup. They have people tonight on the bench that a lot of teams who play in the ISC would love to have. Matrone off the glove of the diving Braden Ducharme. A homer and a single to start things in the fourth for the Chiefs. And this is a great attempt by Braden Ducharme. Diving just off the edge of his glove. And now it's first baseman Tony Gonzalez. 1 through 9 in this lineup. Everybody can take it deep. This is a big chopper, and Laskowski handles it with authority for out number 1. Matrone able to move up on the chopper into scoring position for Quentin Bruce. And he was robbed of a hit by Brock Atwell at second, his first time up. From Grand Valley, Ontario. You know the Chiefs would like to cash in another here to cut the gap to 1. Bruce shakes his head, and the home plate umpire agrees. 2 balls and no strikes to Quentin Bruce. And it's ball 3. Taking all the way. And just found the top of the strike zone. A 3-1 on the outside corner, and the count runs full. Quentin Bruce had a magical 2022 World Men's Championship for Canada. He was 11 for 20. Looking for a little magic tonight. But the McCullough drop ball a little too much. McCullough does very well to battle back from a 3-0 count to record his 7th strikeout of the night. And they're 2 away for Lenny Viavazzo. Changeup is a strike. And when McCullough gets that pitch over in good location on a regular basis, makes him very difficult to deal with, even more so than he already is with the rest of the arsenal. So only one real blemish tonight for Devon. That's the Nick Shales solo homer to right here in the 4th. It's the second hit now 3 hits that he's given up. Matrone has one as well in the inning, but no more as McCullough shuts things down and limits the damage with 2 more strikeouts. Headed to the bottom of the 4th, a 3-1 JDT First Energy advantage.
Let's talk about a local one-stop shop. Live Well for Life is just that, a fitness, nutrition, and therapy facility all under one roof. Located at 3878 Wellington Street in Mitchell, Ontario, you can get so much done in just one visit. A full complement of staff on hand include chiropractic, massage, and personal training to get you back to your healthy self. Find them on the web at livewellforlifeinc.com or give
Live Well for Life, a proud sponsor of the broadcast program.
Nick Shales supplies a home run to cut into the JDT advantage. It's now 3-1 as JDT set to bat off Marco Diaz, who's given up the 3 runs on 4 hits. All of the damage being done in the bottom of the 2nd. And Jonathan Lynch was a part of it. Had quite an at-bat. He was hit on the hand, called a strike with the first pitch as he delivers this. Ezekiel after it, so is Quentin Bruce. And they nearly collide, but Bruce is eventually there to make the catch. That could have spelled some trouble. Both there, and eventually the center fielder Ezekiel backed off and allowed Bruce to make the play. Justin Leskowski with an RBI double. His first time up. Expect a lot of highly competitive, high-level games in this 6-team division this weekend, and we're off to a good start. Bear Creek Express on a couple of two-run two home runs for Ty Sebastian, who also started the game in the circle, leading Bear Creek to a 4-1 victory over the Northeast Drillers. Diaz with 7 strikeouts of his own. And that one certainly got away. See if he asks for a new ball. Doesn't look like it. One out in the bottom of the 4th. A 3-1 JDT advantage. Change up. Leskowski laced a liner into the gap in right center, and back-to-back change-ups from Diaz, who's smiling, and I think Leskowski is too. Neither one of them can believe that things are still going on in this at-bat. Talk about fighting one off. And he threw a third one. 3 consecutive changeups to finally get Leskowski. That's a fun at-bat. As catcher Dallas Cornelius steps in. And he looks at ball 1. He struck out. His only time up. Cornelius has had a couple of good swings. That being one of them. Missed outside. Diaz, so far in the game, 64 pitches, 46 of them strikes. And there is a strike. Swung on and missed by Cornelius. For both pitchers, a lot of deep counts. Strikeout number 9. As Diaz, after a tough second inning, is settled in. He's retired 7 in a row. It's 3-1 JDT. Alan Pecker, Luciano Biondi, and the top of the order, and Shane Boland due up for the Chiefs, trailing 3-1 in the top of the 5th. The Chiefs' opening game of this 6-team event here in Mitchell. The Chiefs were 48-8 in 2024 on their way to the ISC World Tournament title. As Alan Pecker takes outside. Allen struck out his first time up tonight. Now 4 for 10 early in the season. And finds himself in a hitter's count now. 3 balls and a strike to the Hill United Chiefs right fielder. And had a pretty good rip at that pitch. Was injured for more than a month last year. Was not in a position to help Argentina qualify in Prince Albert for the World Cup, but he will be there in less than a month, as Argentina will go in as one of the favorites. And fights off the drop ball. Devin McCullough. A solid outing, giving up 3 hits. And that's his 9th strikeout of the evening. And here's Biondi. Much to the chagrin of the entire Hill United dugout on that pitch. Ball and a strike to Luciano Biondi. He, like Alan Pecker, will play for Argentina at that World Cup. Biondi hit .571. He was 4 for 7 at last year's ISC World Tournament in Surrey. And he will see a lot of the catching duties this year for Hill United. Always has a chance with how he runs, and just showed why. Great speed from the young 22-year-old catcher. And a bouncing infield base hit. And the Chiefs now with a tying run at home plate here in the 5th. Shane Bolin has struck out, and he popped up to first. Cornelius thought about throwing as it came back to him very quickly, but elected to hang on. Biondi in scoring position. As McCullough misses in. Shane Bolin with a chance to cut into the lead and swings and misses on the high rise. Shane had a couple of homers in last year's ISC World Tournament. He also had a hit in all 3 playoff games on Championship Saturday. That called a strike, but gave catcher Cornelius a bit of a headache in the process. Off came the mask. And they're going to check and see if the catcher's all right. And it looks like Dallas is. Looks like the wind is starting to pick up a little bit. Still one game to come tonight. We'll match the newly named Bear Creek Gremlins against the Toronto Batmen as McCullough goes upstairs for another strikeout. And he now has 10. As Nick Shales was about to hit the home run off McCullough, was in the process of mentioning that McCullough has 448 strikeouts in his last 10 ISC World Tournaments. And this might be the matchup of the game at this point. Biondi moves up to third, and now it's Brad Ezekiel, and McCullough dancing around after that pitch. Did he hurt himself? Looks like he was a little shaken up. trying to shake it off. I think his landing spot didn't work out the way he wanted to, but he'll stay in and continue this large confrontation against Brad Esical, who has a hit and then struck out his last time up. As capable as anyone of tying this game or any other with one swing. Has the one homer early in the season. And it was a 2-run shot last weekend in Kimberley. But he won't catch up to that. Devin McCullough has it going on here in Mitchell. He's struck out 11. (3-1) it remains in favor of JDT First Energy in front of the Hill United Chiefs behind the pitching of Devin McCullough, who's given up just the 1 run and struck out 11. And Jordan Pomeroy has that go off his bat. A thank you to Randy Frame of Outside the Chute and their great podcast. Was pretty sure this was the park that Jordan made that amazing catch in 2023. But unless you're sure, you probably shouldn't echo it. And it was unbelievable. Now he'd like to hit one over a fence here. Marco Diaz, after a tough second, really settled back in. This past a diving Gonzalez, and Pomeroy with his first hit of the night to open up the 5th. Is just past Tony Gonzalez. And Pomeroy has excellent speed. Scott Patterson, he has a hit in the game. Looked to bunt. Unable to execute on the first go-round of trying to do just that. See if Jamie Simpson, the head coach over at third, gives him the same sign now. Would appear yes. And the best that you possibly can in this sport as a batter, you are always asked to bunt strikes. The pitcher, on the other hand, would like you to bunt something out of the zone. It was not on in this pitch, and it's 2-1. The Chiefs being tested by JDT in their opening game here in Mitchell. This is hit well to right, and Alan Pecker back to the fence to make the catch. Well hit by Scott Patterson, but not quite enough. As he got into it and drove it that way, and Alan Pecker, just shy of the track, was able to haul it in. Now Braden Ducharme misses on his bunt attempt. Five hits in the game for JDT. Four of them occurred in the 3-run bottom of the second inning. And a good twist that time from the youngster Ducharme. Brother Brennan is also a member of this JDT First Energy team, but not in the lineup or in the game to this point. Drop ball just missed. Should be a ball and 2 strikes, I believe. To Braden Ducharme with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. Has not been any activity for Hill since the 2nd. Marco Diaz with his first early true test of 2025. Finds the outside corner, and he is up to 10 strikeouts in the game, which he is certainly no stranger to. In 2024, Marco Diaz had 10 games with 10 or more strikeouts. And as his first one in 2025 is Colin Walsh with a big cut. Colin 0 for 2 in the game. He flew out to right and then grounded out to Tony Gonzalez at first. Gets away from Diaz. And Pomeroy races quickly to second. Colin Walsh hit .222 at last year's ISC World Tournament with a run batted in. As he hacks that back to the screen. Great location here to call a game. You're close enough to touch it. And the temperature seems to have really dipped here in the last 15 minutes. And Diaz, after giving up the leadoff single, comes back with 3 straight outs. To the 6th, and a 3-1 JDT First Energy lead.
Dream catcher, inch by inch, we'll fight to make the lives of First Nations people in this community and on this continent better.
The gentleman who has supplied the only run tonight for the Hill United Chiefs is Nick Shales. He homered in the fourth, his 5th home run in the very early stages of this season. Had 4 amongst his 11 hits last weekend in Kimberley, Wisconsin. This one high in the air, not deep enough. As Pomeroy settles under it for out number 1. So the first time that Shales has been prevented from reaching base. And now it's Bruno Matroni, who a sharp single off the glove of shortstop Ducharme, his last time at home plate. Matroni was the MVP of the ISC World Tournament in 2021, won by the Hill United Chiefs. At last year's ASA Championships, was the first team all-star catcher. Will catch this season. Certainly his fair share, but maybe not as much as he might have in the past for the Chiefs. Devin McCulloch given up 4 hits, struck out 11, and walked 1. And Matroni asking if that was a ball.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
No shortage of full counts, but McCullough always has seemed to find a way, but not this time. It's just his 2nd walk of the night. Issued to Matroni. And speedster Nick White, who had a great weekend in Kimberley, will come in to run.
28 out, 4 in.
And the pride of Truro, Nova Scotia is, I would suggest, as fast as almost anyone in the sport. He can scoot with a capital S. Nick White not in the starting lineup tonight, was 6 for 8 last weekend, as the Chiefs were the co-champions along with the Kegel Black Knights of the Jack Grafmeyer Memorial. White on the move, and the throw is wide of the target. Nick White quickly gets up, and that's what speed can do. Nick White forces the errant throw, steals a base, and makes his way to third with 1 out. He can fly. Tony Gonzalez would like to bring him home and cut the gap to 1. Top of the 6th, and a good one. Don't expect in this 6-team division many that won't be this weekend. That's how quality the competition of the field is here in Mitchell. Change up, well blocked by Cornelius. And it saves a run. Fine work by the catcher. Tony Gonzalez looking to cash in a second Chiefs run. Will this be deep enough? Here comes White, and he'll score easily. And it's 3-2 as Lynch with a throw. Nick White is a hard guy to get. He was at home by 3 steps. And it's 3-2 as Gonzalez drives in a run with a sacrifice fly to right field. And the difference is 1 for Tony, his 4th run batted in of the season. Quentin Bruce, 0 for 2 in the game. Quality changeup, swung on and missed. As McCullough works ahead against Bruce. Bruce able to lay off the 0-2 pitch. And you have to love the old school. No batting gloves, very little protection on the arms. There's a little there. And McCullough rears back to record his 12th strikeout. But the Chiefs chip away. They've cut the gap to 3-2.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
A 3-run second inning continues to be the difference in the game. The Hill United Chiefs able to scrap out a run in the 6th. And 3-0 is turned into 3-2 in the opening game for both teams. They'll play 3 round-robin games here this weekend for all 6 teams prior to the start of the playoffs. And the first 2 playoff games will be tomorrow at 9 on the 2 diamonds that are lighted, obviously. The first place finisher in each group will earn a bye into a semifinal on Sunday. And the format is somewhat interesting in the sense that you don't play teams in your own division. You play the 3 teams in the other division. But then the standings, obviously, as a result of those games, within the framework of your own, to see who finishes 1, 2, 3 in each. And a hit batter for Diaz that has Jeff Lyons at first. And they will run. For Jeff Lyons over at first base. And Dallas Kipfer is the runner over at first. And Brock Atwell who started the second inning party for JDT with a base hit, is the batter. And takes a strike from Marco Diaz, who has given up 5 hits, the 3 runs, and he has 11 strikeouts to his credit. No bunt, not even showing it here for Atwell. Who only had 2 official at-bats in his last ISC World Tournament with the Niagara Stompers in 2023. Had 4 hits in the 17 at-bats in the 2022 ISC World Tournament. Biondi does well to gobble that up behind home plate. And Kipfer runs well. And Schofield is back up working again for the Chiefs. And Marco Diaz wants to make sure that the sequence of signs is what he's looking for. Gets away from Biondi. An all-important potential insurance run now in scoring position. The Diaz delivery and a good one. It's a drop in the inner half, swung on and missed for a strikeout. Second time he has struck out Brock Atwell, who's now 1 for 3 in the contest. And the batter is Jonathan Lynch. He has one of the 5 JDT hits. Right back at Diaz, over to third in time to get Kipfer. Threw a strike over to third. He makes it look so routine. That got back to him in a hurry, and Shales did well. Upon second glance, it wasn't quite in the spot I thought it was originally. So that is an important defensive play for the team trailing by a run. As Kipfer, the pinch runner, cut down 1-5 on the putout if you're scoring at home. And now Justin Laskowski had a huge RBI double back in that 3-run second. From Warman, Saskatchewan, I don't know if you call it a suburb of Saskatoon, but it's really what it is. Saskatoon being my hometown, so know it well. So Lynch is the base runner on the fielder's choice. Biondi's framing, not quite enough for the home plate umpire. He's done a nice job in this game. And this one does find the strike zone. 2-2. 2 out in the bottom of the 6th and a 3-2 JDT First Energy lead. And the drop ball is a good one. Up to 14 strikeouts. But but his team trails by 1, heading to the top of the 7th. Hill United down to their last at-bat, trailing 3-2 as we are set for the top of the 7th. And Jeff Ellsworth will call on Canadian national team member Blake Hunter to pinch hit to begin this 7th in place of Lenny Villavazzo. Blake's 3 for 7 early in the year. Those were his numbers last weekend in Kimberley, Wisconsin, where he doubled and had 3 runs batted in. Blake Hunter had a stretch early for Canada at last year's World Cup qualifier where he thought he might get a hit every at-bat. He started that event in Prince Albert last July with 6 hits in his first 7 at-bats. He just wants to get aboard here with the Chiefs in his first year with them. Played with the New York Gremlins last season. Devin McCullough has thrown a dandy, trying to close it out. Misses in, and not by a whole bunch. Blake Hunter trying to find his way on base, and again does a nice job to lay off. Full count to Hunter, leading it off, down a run for the Chiefs here on the top of the 7th. Did he go? The home plate umpire said yes. And strikeout number 13 for the product of Saskatoon, Devin McCullough. You have to be careful with this guy. Alan Pecker takes on the inside portion. Pecker 0 for 2 tonight with a couple of strikeouts. Is this the time he finds one? The Chiefs certainly are hoping so. At 0-2, does he come with a change here? We're about to find out. Nope, the high rise well out of the zone. To bring the count to 1-2. Is Allen readjusting his shin guard. One out in the 7th. An excellent drop ball. And the Chiefs, a perfect 5-0 last weekend to begin the season. In Kimberley, Wisconsin, down to their last out. for Luciano Biondi. Chiefs are right back in action tomorrow morning in the first game at 8:30. And then we'll have a date at 5, a rematch of last year's ISC World Championship final against the now Bear Creek, formerly New York Gremlins, who will play the Toronto Batmen when this game comes to a conclusion. And if you're JDT First Energy, you're hoping it's on this at-bat. As Devin McCullough wants a new ball. 14 strikeouts to his credit. Trying to end it against Luciano Biondi. Biondi with a infield base hit his last time at home plate. He's trying to keep the Chiefs alive here on a Friday night. Excellent game. Two away in the 7th. A 3-run second has paved the way for JDT. And that will do it. Devin McCullough tosses a gem. 15 strikeouts to hand the reigning ISC World Tournament champion Hill United Chiefs a 3-2 setback. Terrific game. We knew this would be a weekend full of excellent contests, and this was one of them. For Luciano, Carl, Blair, Joe, and everybody involved this weekend, my name is Peter Lubardius. So long for now. Coming up in about 20-25 minutes, our final game of night number 1 will match the Bear Creek Gremlins and the Toronto Batmen. So long for now.
For the latest in softball innovation, a site where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a premier member now. SoftballTV.com. Live it on Softball Premier.